Hello everyone and welcome to a new video of Crypto Yapper. In this video I'm going to tell you exactly what we can expect for Bitcoin in the next week, and this is the video you want to watch before Monday because I will prepare you for what's coming in next week. There are a lot of interesting formations I will tell you about. Of course, Bitcoin opened the CME gap, we are seeing a lot of interesting formations unfolding, and especially on the 4-hour time frame we could see a huge breakout for Bitcoin in the coming week. There's also a lot of interesting news and data coming in for Bitcoin and also the Ethereum ETF. We are seeing a lot of news articles coming into the market which are very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto overall. I'm also going to have a look at the two altcoins, Bittensor TAO and Injective, but about that later in the video. So you definitely want to watch this video all the way to the end to be prepared for what's coming next week. Please slap up that like button because it will help this channel a lot, and let's dive right into the charts. On Friday, Bitcoin opened the CME gap around this level, and that was around the $101,329. So I think Bitcoin is always going to trade around this level during the course of the weekend because we don't see a lot of volatility during the weekend. But of course it could also happen that during the weekend we could see a spike to the top side or either the downside, but that is most likely because some kind of a little bit of a black swan event. So I think during the course of the weekend Bitcoin will just trade around this level, and eventually we will see a close of the gap shortly after the weekend is over. So keep in mind that this gap is going to be closed most likely at the end of the weekend, and that we will just come back to this level, and that Bitcoin is just not going to see a lot of volatility. But of course there are a lot of interesting formations unfolding on the charts, and they could also break out in the coming week, so you want to be prepared for what's coming next. So for instance, if we zoom out to the 4-hour time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is running into horizontal resistance here, and on the higher side we are seeing this previous all-time high is getting made, and now we're seeing this resistance is unfolding. So it could be the next make or break level for Bitcoin. So we could either see a break to the top side, a retest of the resistance to turn it into support, and then we have to aim for higher prices, and then Bitcoin can also create a new higher high, which also creates a new all-time high. But of course we could also see a rejection coming into the market, and that we have to aim for lower targets. And if Bitcoin is coming back to this huge horizontal support, I'm going to buy into the market because at this green box of accumulation we can see a lot of touch points in the past as support. So especially when Bitcoin is coming to this level, I'm going to buy heavily into Bitcoin. And this will be around $94,000 approximately. So if Bitcoin is coming back here, you want to place your buy orders, and then you can aim for long-term trades to the top side. But of course we are now at this huge resistance area, so let's see if we're going to see a break to the top side or that we're going to see a rejection and that we have to aim for lower targets again. And on Friday the Bitcoin ETFs had a very bullish day again. We saw a total inflow of 428.9 million, and that was all because BlackRock was buying like crazy. We can also see that Fidelity is buying a lot, and they are now coming to this above the $12 billion of total cumulative inflow. And we can also see that the Fidelity Bitcoin ETF is about to overtake Grayscale's BTC ETF in total assets. So this is insane of course, and Grayscale is only selling since the beginning of the ETF because they were holding a lot of Bitcoin, and they are selling because they have very high percentages of commission, and they also started a new Bitcoin ETF with the lowest commission. So they're just flowing into another Grayscale ETF. But for now, Fidelity will most likely become the second biggest Bitcoin ETF. And if we have a look at the Ethereum ETFs, we can see that on Friday a little bit of an inflow of $23.6 million. So this was not a very huge day, but in this chart we can only see positive days for the Ethereum ETF. So the Ethereum ETF is finally picking up steam after a very slow and sloppy start. So we are now seeing a lot of total inflows, and we are seeing a huge total cumulative inflow of more than $2 billion. So this is very bullish for the Ethereum price as well. And if we then zoom out to the 4-hour time frame, we can also see that Bitcoin is trying to break out of this huge formation, and this consolidation formation has a lot of touch points on the lower side as support, and on the top side we can see multiple touch points as resistance coming into the market. And eventually this price of Bitcoin is getting squeezed into its apex, and we will most likely see a break either way to the top side, or of course we could also see a bearish scenario that we're going to see a break to the downside. But for now, Bitcoin is in this huge uptrend, so we could possibly see just a continuation of the bullish uptrend. And if we're going to break out of this huge formation and retest the previous resistance as support, you can enter the market here from here in the long, and then of course we are going to create a new all-time high because this previous all-time high is the breakout target of this formation, and let's see if we can break out to the top side, and that of course will be very bullish. But the bearish scenario could also play out in the next week, and that we're going to see a rejection from this level, that eventually we're going to see a break of this support area, and that we're going to retest the support as resistance. And if we do so, I'm going to short the market for Bitcoin, because I think we will see a little bit of lower levels, and then the breakdown target of this formation will be confluent with the lowest side of this formation, and it will be around the $86.5 thousand. So this could be the breakdown target for Bitcoin, and this is the very bearish scenario. But of course, as I was saying, Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend, and as I'm always saying, the trend is your friend until it ends. So I think we will just see a continuation of the bullish momentum, and that we're eventually going to see a break to the top side. And another interesting chart on the 4-hour time frame is this huge breakout. We saw that Bitcoin was running into resistance at this level, and this downward sloping resistance line was eventually the level to break. We broke bullish. Then we saw another huge consolidation, and we created a little bit of a falling wedge formation with multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and on the lower side we saw touch points as support. We also broke this huge falling wedge formation. Then we retested this resistance area as support, just like I'm always saying. You want to be buying at this bullish retest, and then you can aim for higher targets. And from this bullish retest, we entered the market, and we already made more than a 3% increase. So this is an insane trade, especially when you are leverage trading. So for now, Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend, and we can see maybe a continuation of the bullish uptrend. But of course, we want to break this previous all-time high around the $104,000, and that will be very bullish, and then we can see another huge spike to the top side possibly. But for now, we are running into this resistance on the 4-hour time frame. So let's see what is going to be for Bitcoin. Are we going to see a break to the top side, or are we going to see a little bit of a bearish scenario, and that we have to aim for lower prices? And we all know that Michael Saylor is buying a lot Bitcoin because they are investing a lot through MicroStrategy, and now he owns more than 2% of the entire Bitcoin supply. So this is insane, of course. So let's see if he will buy more in the coming months. And also a lot of other companies are going to do the same thing as Michael Saylor, and they're doing the Michael Saylor playbook, and it is catching on, as you can see. A lot of big companies have been buying Bitcoin in the last months. We can see that Mara Holdings bought more than 1.7 billion in the last month. We can see that Riot Platforms bought for more than 510 million Bitcoin today. We can also see that Hut 8 raising 500 million, and they're going to most likely buy more Bitcoin. And also Semler Scientific has been buying more than 147.1 million Bitcoin since May. So a lot of other companies are also buying and investing in Bitcoin. And this of course is having a very bullish effect on the price of Bitcoin, and it will only pump up the price of Bitcoin even more. So let's see which companies will follow, and we will most likely see companies like Microsoft, Google, and such other companies as Apple are also going to buy Bitcoin eventually, and that will of course also attract a lot of retail, which is very bullish for the market. And if we then zoom out to the daily time frame for Bitcoin, we can see that we are still in this huge uptrend, and eventually I think we will see just a continuation of the bullish uptrend. We saw this high getting formed, then we saw another higher low, then we saw another new all-time high, which also was confluent with a new higher high. Now we are seeing this higher low unfolding, and now I think we will just continue the bullish uptrend to the top side, and this is of course very bullish. And as I'm always saying, the trend is your friend until it ends, so the trend is not stopping anytime soon. So eventually, of course, when we are seeing a break of this level and that we're going to create a lower high and a lower low, then we have to aim for lower targets, because then the trend will shift to a downtrend. But of course, we are still now in an uptrend, so I think Bitcoin will just continue the bullish momentum to the top side. And especially with all the huge companies buying more Bitcoin, we are seeing a lot of interesting buying pressure coming into the market. So I don't think Bitcoin is going to shift to a downtrend anytime soon. And yesterday there was also a very interesting news article coming in that Van Eck, also a Bitcoin ETF issuer, it predicts a $180,000 Bitcoin in 2025. And they also predict that the US strategic Bitcoin reserve is going to be happening in 2025. So of course, if this is going to happen, we will see most likely a $180,000 Bitcoin according to Van Eck. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Bittensor TAO. We can see that Bittensor TAO last week ran into this huge resistance area on the top side, and this was confluent with the previous all-time high. So we are seeing a little bit of a rejection coming into the market. but on the overall picture, we are seeing this huge uptrend is unfolding. So we are now retesting this previous resistance as support. So after this break, we didn't retest it as support. So now we are coming back to this green zone of support. And as I'm always saying, you want to buy at support and maybe sell a little bit at a resistance. So at this level, I'm going to buy more Bittensor TAO for the long term. And I think we will see more upside from here. And to this next big resistance, we will most likely see a 30% increase. So this could be a very interesting place to buy more TAO. And this is exactly what I'm going to do. And if we zoom into the 4-hour time frame for Bittensor TAO, we can see this huge falling wedges unfolding. We can see multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and on the lower side we can see multiple touch points as support. And also this huge falling wedge structure is about to break out. And this formation is actually a bullish bias pattern because it tends to break to the top side more often. After a little bit of a consolidation to the downside, we most likely see a break to the top side, and then you want to wait for a retest of the resistance to turn it into support, and then you can also enter the market for Bittensor TAO in a long. But of course, we could also see a bit of a bearish scenario unfolding that we have to aim for lower prices. So this is going to be the next move for Bittensor TAO. We are either going to see a break to the top side or a break to the downside. But of course, as I'm saying, this formation is a bullish bias pattern, so we will most likely see a break to the top side. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Injective. We can see that Injective protocol is running into big resistance also on the daily time frame, and this huge resistance area was a little bit too strong. We saw a rejection from this level, but this level was also confluent with the breakout target of this huge falling wedge formation, which I've been talking about for the last months. As I was saying, this top side of the formation is the breakout target. So after we broke bullish, we saw multiple bullish retests, and from these bullish retests you could have entered the market for Injective in a long, and that's especially what we did. So let's say you have an average price of around here and you come all the way to the huge resistance area, which was confluent with the breakout target, then you could have made a more than a 70% increase. So this was also a very beautiful trade to make, and congratulations if you took this trade together with me. And let me know in the comments if you took this trade together with me on Injective, which I've been sharing with you on my socials. And we can also see this huge resistance area was finally broken to the top side. We saw a little bit of a rejection coming into the market, but eventually we broke it to the top side. We retested it as support, and now we are seeing this huge spike to the top side, but also of course a rejection. And after we saw this rejection, Injective was coming back to this huge support area. And every time we touch this support area, I'm going to buy more Injective. And that's exactly what I did. And from this support area, we could have made an interesting gain of 21% already. So this is insane, of course. So Injective is now ranging a little bit between this huge resistance area on the top side and this huge support area on the lower side. So let's see what it's going to be for Injective. Are we going to see eventually a break to the top side or a break to the downside? And personally, I think we will see more topside continuation because Injective is finally in this huge bullish momentum to the top side. So we will most likely see a break to the top side, and then we can reach for new all-time highs. So during the course of the weekend, I'm going to keep an eye on the CME gap, and you should do as well. And let's see if we're going to close the gap shortly after the weekend is over. And after that, we will just trade freely, and we will see the next moves for Bitcoin unfold. So this is what's going to be next for Bitcoin in the coming week. Thank you for watching the video. Please like the video because it will help this channel a lot. You can also follow me on my Telegram group, and with the link in the description under this video, you can just join it for free. So I hope you find this video useful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.